Hi, Camp Korey. Thank you guys so much for joining us for Campfire Fridays. This week is Music Mayhem. So I reached out to one of my good friends, Anthony, who is a music therapist at a hospital in Ohio. So he's going to answer some questions for us about the amazing career of music therapy and talk a little bit about why he chose that career and what you can do to consider that career. So hi, Anthony. Welcome.
Hey, Amanda. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to jump right in and just ask you to kind of explain a little bit about, what is music therapy?
Sure. So music therapy is a profession that covers a really wide range of things. So for me, I work in a hospital, and I spend most of my day in the NICU, which is with premature babies and newborn babies who have really complex medical needs. So they may come to us with short gut or in need of dialysis and any number of issues. And their stays are anywhere from 4 weeks to up to the whole first year of their life. So music therapy looks really different depending on where you're working. So for me in the NICU, I spend a lot of my time using music to help the babies relax. So I sing a lot of lullabies. I also use music to help support them through some difficult or painful procedures like eye exams or PICC line insertions. We also use music before and after their daily assessments, just kind of as a transition to help them transition in and out of things that might be painful for them because they're born early, a lot of their nervous system is on overload. Mm-hmm. And they get really overwhelmed with things very easily that older kids may just feel like a pinprick seems like that times 1,000 for these babies. So anything we can do to help them feel comfortable is what I do using music.
That's amazing. What are some other locations that music therapy can be found?
Yeah, really anywhere you can think of. I have friends who work in inpatient psychiatry. I have friends who work in jails, in nursing homes, in schools. Music therapists also own their own businesses and go in and contract at a bunch of different places, working a lot of times with individuals with special needs. Mm-hmm. And really across the lifespan, you can find a music therapist working with an individual, which is really cool to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Music therapy is so flexible and has so many different places in the world. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Next question for you. So you already told us a little bit about where you work and what you do, but what does your day-to-day look like as a music therapist?
Day-to-day is really hard to describe because no day is the same. As I think you can agree at camp, no day is the same. I go in and check in on my patients that are on my caseload and just see what happened overnight. If anything major happened that I need to check in with nurses about, if they have anything upcoming for that day that I may be able to help them with, and that kind of helps me plan my day. So really just being aware of what all of my patients have going on for the day helps me plan my day.
Awesome. Very cool. It's such a special career that you never really know what's going to happen, but you're always, intentional about making somebody's day a little brighter, which is wonderful.
We could go from singing and playing on a floor mat with an older patient and maybe working with a physical therapist on achieving some of those developmental milestones, to supporting a medical procedure, to working with a mom to write her own personal lullaby for her child, to also doing some end-of-life work, all in the same day.
What is your favorite part about the career of music therapy?
I think the people that I get to work with, and like the reason I got into music therapy was because I love helping people, but I also um, really love music, and I was planning on going into medical school and um, becoming a doctor. But then I kind of found music therapy, and it kind of combined both of my loves for helping people, but also um, what I believe to be everyone's lifeline, which is music, and kind of combine those two things. So I think just being able to share that with other people, and seeing how other people use music in their everyday lives is really cool.
Tell us a little bit about like your journey about becoming a music therapist, and if you would have any advice. We have a lot of teenagers who are really starting to think about what they want to do in life, and a lot of people who are passionate about music at Camp Korey in our community. So just a little bit about like what that pathway looks like, and how any advice that you would give to anybody considering a career in music therapy.
To become a music therapist, you have most music therapy programs are housed within the School of Music. So to get into your program, you typically have to be proficient on an instrument or voice to be able to get into a music school. And you have to take all the same classes as most music students. So that's music history, music theory, aural skills, and you have to major on an instrument, be in ensembles, whether that's band or choir or orchestra, and then in addition to all of that, you have to take your music therapy courses. So learning about different techniques and how to assess patients and clients, and how to use those music skills that you're learning and apply those in a meaningful way for the people that you work with. And then also some electives in psychology and biology, and sometimes some anatomy also thrown in there.
Amazing. Lots of different types of things and lots of different ways to apply music to therapy, which is so incredible. I love it. It's a great idea. So if you had any advice to give to somebody who is considering music therapy as a career, what would a piece of advice be?
I think the advice that I would have loved to have before I went into music therapy was start learning how to play guitar now. I had never touched a guitar before I started my degree. And I really think that was the hardest part of school for me, was learning guitar. Like I played piano and cello and a couple of other instruments growing up, but guitar for me was like a foreign thing, and it was just a really hard thing for me to understand all of the coordination and all of that, because I'm not a very coordinated person. So I think learning guitar, number one, but also learn music theory. I think a lot of music students in general really struggle with music theory, and that's something that I was lucky before I went into college already knowing, and already having taken a few classes in music theory. So I think those two things would really help anyone who wants to start on the path of becoming a music therapist.
Perfect. That's great advice, and something I never would have thought of. I didn't. And do a lot of music therapists use guitars specifically in the hospital?
Yeah, because it's really easy to carry around. Guitars are portable. They attach to your body, or you hold them in your hand. And when you can't use it, you can kind of always use your voice, because you always have that with you. So I think guitar and voice are usually what I use the most every day.
Interesting. That's very cool to hear. And speaking of the guitar, you're going to play us a little example of a lullaby, of a common song, just something that you use in the hospital, which will be really cool to see. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you show us.
Yeah. So like I said, I work at a children's hospital, so I sing a lot of children's songs all the time. So one song that I sing a lot is The Lion Sleeps Tonight from The Lion King. And I've sung it with older kids. I sing it all the time in the NICU. And the difference between singing it with an older kid and in the NICU is that the song is pretty upbeat. So I have to be able to take a upbeat, fast song and kind of turn it into a slower lullaby type song to use with these tiny little babies in the NICU. So I'm going to kind of show you that. I'll play it the original way, upbeat, and then I'll show you kind of how I adapt it to my everyday work. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. All right, so that is the original part that we all know. And now we're gonna see what it sounds like as a lullaby. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Among the among the
So beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Such a talent to be able to take a song and, you know, change it to be exactly what you need for a particular population. So that's super cool to see. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing all of your amazing knowledge, and I'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.
Bye.